ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रय विनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। परमानन्दमाधवम्। ॐ वाङ्मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्म एधि वेदस्य माणिस्थः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेन अहोरात्रान् संदधामि हृदं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्माम अवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम्। ॐ शान्ति शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा जिह्वे पिबस्वामृतमेतदेव गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। नारायण नारायण नारायण। वर्स नंबर 62 and 63। ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः संगस्तेषुपजायते संगात् संजायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशः बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति। Continuing on our discussion on these two good verses about the elaborating about the ladder of fall, wherein Supreme Consciousness Bhagwan Krishna is advising all the spiritual seekers that we must work towards exercising self control in our life. And self control, the efforts we put towards the self control for ourselves, whatever efforts we put, trust me, it is definitely going to pay you. For spiritual field, definitely yes. In any field you choose, this effort you put towards self control is definitely going to get you to what you want as a result. For spiritual seekers, self control is definitely of a paramount importance. Without self control, spiritual progress is definitely a distant dream for everyone. Supreme Consciousness Bhagwan Krishna highlights these aspects in the last couple of verses we have been talking about. And he brought us to a point where, by emphasizing and highlighting the ladder of fall, he's telling us what inadvertence, what is the cost of inadvertence which a spiritual seeker has to pay if he or she loses the aptitude of alertness and vigilance in life. So we saw most of it in the last two sessions. This session we'll try to wrap up the remaining part of it. You see, these two verses in its depth, actually every verse in Bhagavad Gita, in its womb, is like sea deep to understand. It's very, very deep if we really get down to the subtler level. You see, these two, ladder of fall, usually whenever we have any yajna and all, we just speak on them and move on. Since this is a session where we are actually trying to deep dive into the meaning what Bhagavad Gita wants to tell us, and which every seeker should take away, we are spending so much time on them. And to be honest with you, I'm in no hurry to actually quickly complete everything with just mediocre work. I really want that whatever we do, we should do it in so much detail that it is available for us also to listen, re-listen, and also it is available for generations to come when they want to actually understand and Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavad Gita Jayanti has just gone by. So I'll tell you one thing very honestly. Bhagavad Gita is actually a manual of life. It is something which is applicable to the entire humankind, irrespective of caste, creed, and religion. I have highlighted this before also. Actually, the Sanatan Dharma does not qualify in terms of what the other religions are. It's far above that. Actually, it is something, the word dharma, I told you, can never be translated as a religion. So the people who have come across, the so-called educated people, must have kept dharma, the translation of dharma, also into religion. But I told you, religion is nothing but actually a community of people following a kind of teaching which have been given by somebody who has been present here. Maybe higher, definitely I'm not talking about that in terms of other people, but it is not something which is actually can be compared to Sanatan Dharma. What Sanatan Dharma, what the word dharma is something which is applicable to the entire human mankind, irrespective of caste, creed, and religion. It is the manual of life, which is what the God, the creator, expects human being to follow. And if we are able to follow this, trust me, there is no stopping from us from reaching our end goal, which is not limited to a life, which is far above what we can see and understand in this life. Continuing that, while giving the teaching of self-control, Supreme Consciousness Bhagwan Krishna, what he's highlighting there is, these teachings are based on a fact that whatever habits, nature, and culture we have today is something which we have created for us. We have created it for us. We have accumulated it for us. Rather, I will put it this way, it's actually earned by us ourselves. It is not something which is given to us for us to dwell upon. It is something which we ourselves have created. Whatever nature and habits we have today, nature, culture, and habits, three things I'm bringing out. In the order I'll bring it up: habits, culture, and nature. What we have today, if we really try to dwell down into them, we'll understand some of them may be recently created or accumulated or earned by us. Some of them may be earned, accumulated, or created by us some years ago, whereas some of it may be earned, accumulated, and created by us in previous lives, so to say. But when we act in this world, we need to understand that what acts through us in all our actions in the world is what we call it as our habits, culture, and nature. So that is why in any given situation you will see that if same situation is given to two different people, their act or reaction in those situations will be different from each other. Why? Because their nature is different, their habits are different, their culture is different. So you will understand this fact that it is not something which has been given to us. So let me just give you one more or side of it for you to understand. I have explained earlier in the podcast when I spoke about vasanas somewhere. I said it starts with actually interest first, then it goes into habit, from then it goes into culture, it becomes nature and becomes character, and from there vasana. So you need to understand vasanas are something which are created by us. And it starts from where? Interest we show, which Bhagwan explained from Dhyayato Vishayan Sangaha. And he explained there from that point. So you need to understand, and it is incorrect if we say that our nature is something which is natural to everyone, which is given by default to everyone. No, it is not. That is very wrong for us to say. Whatever vasanas we have, all vasanas we have, all the culture which we have within us, and all the habits and nature we have today are something which have been created or earned or accumulated by us. If that is the, if we understand this well, then, and after reaching this conclusion that this is the case, then we have couple of options in our life. That is what I wanted to bring out, continuing this journey of understanding the ladder of fall. If this understanding, this thing you have understood well, that whatever vasanas, whatever habits, whatever culture, whatever nature, which are there as part of my character, they are all some things which have been earned by me. Then after that, there is one, if you have made this decision well, then you need to understand, then if that is the case, then we have two options, or rather I would use this word, then we can use our choice well in life. And I told you, life is what your choice is, to be honest and frank with you, right? So then what are the kind of choices we have? The first choice we have is, we can decide to introspect and see which are the things in my habits, nature, and culture which are worthy of keeping with me. And along with that, which are the kinds of habits, culture, and nature I have which are actually going to be an obstructing factor in my development in life, in my vertical growth in my life, and are worthy of being given up, worthy of being completely dispensed away from me. I must decide to work upon those to delete it from me, or work towards, put an effort to actually remove it from me, from my bunch of habits, culture, and nature. If then, if this is the point, this much you have understood, then you must come to this point, that which are those qualities which I don't have today. That is something which we should work towards to know. And who will tell you? Then you have to come to scriptures and guru for that. Then the point of decision making for me will be, which are those qualities which I don't have today, but are required, are of importance for me to grow in my life, I must work towards earning them or creating them or cultivating them for me. And contrary to that, which are those qualities which I have today but they are not required by me? They are actually, forget about being required by me, they are actually obstructing factors for my development in life, for my work, vertical growth in my life. Then I must make an effort to actually drop those kind of habits, culture and nature from me. These two options, remember, every human being has. Okay, the required nature, required habits, required culture or can be cultivated, can be earned and can be accumulated, can be received by us, can be gained by us. And those nature, culture and vasanas which are not required by us, as they are something which can definitely be given up by anybody in this creation. And the basis of saying this is that all the kind of nature or culture and vasanas and habits are actually something which is earned by us, is created by us only, accumulated by us only. Our nature, our character, our habits, our culture is not something which has been given as a default by God. Okay, and they are not something which has come from the trigunatmika maya. Yes, they are within maya, but they are not something which has come and given as a blanket cover to everyone, as a default to start to everyone. No, that's not the case. Over the period of life, of many lives we have lived, we, some things inadvertently, because of our inadvertence, because of our wrong thinking, without, because of our not thinking, non-thinking, we have let it come inside us slowly, gradually, and they have started residing in us. They have made their home within us. But as a landlord of our own antakarana, we have the choice that if the person who has started staying in rent in our home is actually eventually destroying our home, we have the option of removing such tenants from our home. That is what I wanted to bring out from this particular message. In the society, there is some wrong conceptions which are there, which I must highlight so that you understand it well. In the general parlance in the society, there is a common and mistaken understanding that some vasanas and some nature are something which is instinctive in human being, and some of them are learned by us or some of them are earned and accumulated by us. Then if I take that meaning, let me just dwell into that also, so that I can highlight to you what is the incorrectness in that understanding. It means what? There are some which translates into what? There are some kind of vasanas which are actually natural in us, in all of us. And because they are natural, then the next point which will bring out is that that means they cannot be given up. That which is natural, how can you give that up? And there are some of them which are earned by us, cultivated by us. That is why if we want, those are the ones which can be given up. But this is not correct at all. The reality is that there is no vasana, there is no nature, no habit, no culture in us which is not earned or cultivated by us with our own efforts, which is not something which we have only cultivated in us. Whatever is lying there old as nature, the past us, kind of nature which is lying in us. These people in the society, when they give this kind of a definition which I just highlighted to you, they don't see life beyond a particular body. That is where they're stuck. They beat their head against the wall because they can't see beyond. So when they see that there is something which I did not cultivate in this particular life, so they coin that thing saying that these are something which is natural in me, because they can't see beyond this particular life. But that's not correct at all, because the problem and the disastrous situation which happens, if we take this understanding which is commonly available in the society, then the problem, the disastrous situation we meet is that, if we consider that some of my the nature is inherent in me, is natural, well, it is something which is given by nature, that means I will block myself from making any effort towards changing them, because if it is natural, then the conclusion I will arrive at is that they cannot be changed. They cannot be changed at all. Bhagwan says, Na prakritim viruddhyate. There is no object in this creation, nothing in this creation which can go against its own nature. I'm explaining you now to understand why I brought out that it is vasana, our vasanas, our culture, our habits, our culture, our nature, and our character is made by us. As the reason I'm telling you is that if we take this example, the definition of the society, that they are natural, they are instinctive, they have been given as ground zero to me, as default to every human being, then I will not work towards changing them, because prakriti or the nature, inherent nature, cannot be changed. And the example we try to bring out is from the five elements in this nature. The nature and character of fire is what? Heat. We call it agni ki prakriti hai ushnata. Heat is the inherent nature of fire. Okay. And the inherent nature of water is that it will always flow from top to bottom, it will always flow from up to down, it will always go downstream. Now, since it is nature, you cannot change it, nobody can change it. It's inherent to the fire also. The nature of the nature of heat cannot be removed from the fire. In the same way, the nature of the water flowing from up to down also, because it's an inherent nature, it cannot be changed. And if we come to that conclusion, which the general parlance definition the society is that something is my nature, and it is inherent in me, and it is not something which I have created, then we are blocking ourselves from making an effort towards changing it. Then we will give the excuse, what, you know how can I change? It's inherent in me, it's part and parcel of me, it has come with me and it will go with me. Then if you come to that conclusion, then self control is impossible for you. I'm not talking about general. The moment you say something is natural, then we need to understand you need to understand the correct definition of the word called natural in you. Natural, it doesn't, I would use the word, or we would use this word for the kind of habits, culture, and nature we have within us, as it is something which is inherited by us. Now, not inherited from family. The moment I say inheritance, you'll say, oh, I think you are right, I have inherited it from my father, from my mother. I'm sorry, that's not the case. I've told you, when Pujya Gurudev, if Swami Chinmayanand created these different kind of groups. One of the groups Pujya Gurudev created was Bal Vihar. Why he created Bal Vihar? He said it very clearly that in the first 13 years of a child, the past vasanas doesn't open up. They don't find any field for manifestation, because the child is very cute and innocent. It's very, very innocent. If you see any child, you will see they're full of innocence. They don't know about the world. They will act according to how you treat them, but they are actually trying to interact with you. See, that's the beauty of a child. And that's one of the things which is said, when a when a rishi, or person, man of wisdom, becomes realized saint, he becomes balavat, becomes like a child, goes back to the same innocence level of a child, because for that man of realization, the world doesn't exist. So there are many people who, see, people are people, they will react according to their own created vasanas, culture and habits. When they react in a wrong way also, a man of realization or a guru won't mind, because they actually pity the person, because doesn't understand what he's doing and what he's going to go into. Now the moment you say that something is natural, that means you have not understood it correctly. Actually, it is something inherited by you. Now see the beauty of Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan Dharma says, if you make the choices well in your life, irrespective of where you are today, you can change into a completely different person altogether. Even if you are a low lying person doing wretched things right now, you still have an option to change. You still have, but you have to make the correct choice. And the example which is brought out very popularly is about Ratnakar, who was a highway robber, a dacoit, had done many killings for his own survival, but had so much thing that one day Naradji came. I'm bringing you Naraji purposively here, huh? Because I'm going to give you one story towards the middle of this session about Naraji also. So Naraji is so wonderful. What should I tell you? I think he is the one who had made so many people leave their bad things and come to God. And Naraji is, I do not know what kind of a blessed life Naraji has. Don't know what kind of a being Naraji is, what kind of a blessed person Naraji is. The moment they say, if somebody comes face to face with Naraji ever in their life, trust me, it is sure that bhakti will surely come to you. That is what the kind of blessing and grace Naraji has. Anyway, so Naraji met him, and he was a staunch highway robber, or very staunch kind of a dacoit, and with so many killings on his head. What happened? One day Naraji went to him, and many of you know the story. If I take the complete story, I may not be able to complete the episode, so I'm not coming to that. But our Sanatan Dharma says that Ratnakar, who was a dacoit, a staunch dacoit, who was a very strong kind of a negative kind of a person, strongly negative, weirdly negative kind of a person, he can change, leave everything, and become Maharshi Valmiki. Remember, Maharshi Valmiki. That is the kind of that is the kind of path which Sanatan Dharma shows you. Doesn't matter where you are, what you have done, you still have an option to change. And there is one word which is, they say, na, jab jage tab savera. Whenever you wake up, it's a morning. It's for you to decide to wake up. But if you decide to wake up, trust me, God will send you help in the form of gurus, scriptures, assistance, many things for you to turn. But you have to make that first effort. That is what Sanatan Dharma talks about in terms of self control, so to say. The kind of faith we develop in the light of such wisdom should not be broken, and we must take care of that. What is that wisdom we are talking about? That there is no habit, no culture, no nature in us which cannot be given up, and there is no nature, no habit, no nature, and no culture which cannot be earned or cultivated in us. If there are some habits, culture and nature in us which are quite strong, which we see that they have, their effect is quite strong in us, they are quite deep down in us, it can be possible that giving them up may be difficult, but definitely giving up is something which is possible, which is definitely surely possible for everyone. Goswami Tulsidas ji, tried to bring out the difficulty in giving up such deep down impressions or habits, nature and culture in us. He brings out in Ramcharitmanas that mitaina malin swabhav abhangu. There are, he says, he calls the word abhangu. There are certain nature, certain habits, culture and nature in us which seems that they cannot be broken, they cannot be removed within us. He says that. But later on in the same Ramayana itself, he says is that Sat Sudanai Sat Sangati Pai Paras Paras Kughat Suhai. He says, all the kind of strong habits, culture and nature can also be actually changed, provided we get Sat Sangati Pai. We get good, join or get into the company of good people. We go under the tutelage of a guru. We surrender unto a guru. We go and sit down in satsangs, such kind of thing. In many different conversations, he said that self control is something which is definitely possible. And the entire concept of self control and the entire advice of self control is said on this basis is we need to understand that uh, we must keep this is strong in our understanding that whatever nature, whatever habit, whatever culture, whatever nature we have today is cultivated by us only. Nobody else is responsible for us. And and there is no nature of ours which cannot be given up by us, which cannot be removed or corrected. Now I should bring out to you, there is only one thing, one nature of us which cannot be cultivated and which cannot be given up. What is that nature? That our core self is nothing but the supreme consciousness, and it is what? Satchidananda Swarup. That Satchidananda Swarup is our inherent nature, which cannot be cultivated also, which cannot be given up. Also, okay, let me say it in the correct sequence, which cannot be given up also, because it is not something which is cultivated. You don't have to get it from outside, and it is something which can never give up also. That is one thing we need to understand. Except apart from that nature of ours of being the core supreme consciousness as the true self, apart from that, whatever we see in us has been cultivated and can be given up also, can be gathered, can be can be gained also. So whatever we see in us is something which have been earned by us, cultivated by us, so we can effectively make a change to that texture of our habits, culture and nature, if we give the focus and work towards it correctly. This core point we all must hold on to, that this is the case. And then we must see introspectively in us, what, which of my nature is important for which kind of function, if I do and keep my end goal in mind. Okay, for which work, which of my nature is required, and which are the kind of work which are never going to come to me, and there are some things which I can give up completely, and those things which are required for getting my work done, which are those things which I need to cultivate. That's one thing we need to understand. And the other point we need to understand is, this is the third point we need to understand, then if we attain those habits, that is our achievement. If we cultivate or attain those habits which are required for my overall development and getting my work done, that is something called achievement. And in this way, there are 4 points which we need to understand, and in the topic of self control. The first one is that all cultures and natures which are there in me, that is something which is standing on my own antakarna, and that's something which has been created by me. That is something which we need to understand. So the first will be the understanding that all the kind of habits, nature and culture are something which are cultivatable, can be cultivated. So then, and that is the first point we need to keep in mind. The second point is that must come across this understanding, we must introspect and see which are those qualities which are required, that decision I have to reach, which are the qualities required by me to lead my life correctly and achieve my goal in life. Then the third point will be those qualities which are required by me, how do I work towards gaining them? And that I need to know first, and then I must need to work towards and what are the things which I need to do to gain them. And the fourth point will be that, once I gain those things, what will be the kind of construction, how my character and my personality will look like. And once you achieve them, that is where the what is called the actual achievement and in your life. And an example I'll give you, who that if somebody's objective is to go for a fight, then the first level of understanding that person need to do is that I need to create my habit, nature, and culture according to a person who is going to go into the fight. Right? Means what? I cannot have a kind the nature of a rishi and think that I will go into a fight. Right? I need to cultivate the nature, a habit, culture, and nature of a kshatriya to go into a fight, war I'm talking about. Then, and you know, I will work towards creating what are the kind of qualities need to be gained, and working towards those qualities will become my sadhana. That will become my special sadhana for that. Like I'm giving you an example, such a person who has such kind of a temperament and such kind of a desire will from childhood itself work towards gaining the artillery, the art of weapons and artilleries and all, right? Will, like I'm giving you an example, Arjun, I told you from childhood he always used to play with bow and arrow. That's the kind of nature he cultivated since the beginning. And then this person who once come decides upon that particular objective of life and understand according to the nature in their life, then that person's food and where the company which this person chooses will be also according to that. And this person will get such an environment to develop such skills. And that is what our scripture wants to teach us. Bhagwan Ram, if he took an avatar and he had to fight Ravan, so he took an avatar in a kshatriya family only, right? He has to rule over the Ayodhya, and he has to come into the kshatriya kind of a nature. He went for a training also. He went through the entire process what a kshatriya goes through in terms of training and development of in his life. And that is, even though Bhagwan Ram has done the leela, because for Bhagwan there is no dharma like that. Bhagwan does leela according to his own wish, even though it is a leela of Bhagwan Ram. But for all of us, as this is an actual fact of life, that we need to work towards creating those kind of a things in our life which we really want to set out as a goal. There is one correction which I want to make from the last session, and I gave you that example of if Amba can work towards, because she had a desire to kill Bhishma Pitama, she did tapas and became the cause of killing Bhishma Pitama. If she can achieve it, then which goal of our life is difficult? And remember, Bhishma Pitama was Ajar and Amar. He had Ichha Mrityu also available. He was such a warrior, actually nobody could defeat him, by the way. But when in that example I told you, I think I gave one mistake over there, where I'm just giving you, highlighting the stories to highlight the correction which I want to make here. I think I mistakenly said that Ambika and Ambalika got married to Dhritarashtra and Pandu, but that was not the case. They were actually married to the son of Satyavati and Shantanu, which was Vichitra Virya. And Satyavati had two sons, Chitrangada and Vichitra Virya. Chitrangada died without any progeny. So for Vichitra Virya, Bhishma Pitama kidnapped Kashi's three daughters, Amba, Ambika, and Ambalika. When he got them to marry Vichitra Virya, Amba said that I'm already in love with somebody, so I cannot marry. So you let me go. But with whom she was in love, he refused to accept, because that the one who was in love with Amba, he did fight with Bhishma Pitama to ensure that he doesn't take Amba with him. But he could not win over Bhishma Pitama, so Amba had to go with him. But when the moment and Amba told Bhishma Pitama that I'm in love with him, he released her. But this person refused to accept her, saying that I've got defeated while trying to save you, and you have been kidnapped. Now I cannot marry you. So Amba got really furious. But Ambika and Ambalika married Vichitra Virya, and they had sons like Dhritarashtra and Pandu. So that's how the story went. But remember, when I tell you the stories of our history and our scriptures, you should understand the deeper meaning. Yes, if somebody makes a resolve to work towards such things also, yes, if proper efforts are done, it can be done. But why waste a life for such things? You can actually spend your energy, focus your energy, and actually gaining something higher. But the reason I brought out that example was, I want to tell you that if somebody makes a firm resolve, anything is possible, anything can be worked towards. Like, you can see many such incidents. I don't have to bring it out for you. So that's the correction I want to make. That Ambika and Ambalika had actually married Vichitravirya, and they were mothers to Dhritarashtra and Pandu. So that's the correction I want to make, and we move on. So if we keep a goal and we see that there are some habits and nature and character in me which are opposite to gaining success in that arena, then I must work towards removing them. And those things which are required for me to achieve the goal I've set in life, those ones I must want to work towards. We must set out to work towards. And if somebody wants the ultimate good in life, which is self realization, or I would say firm abidance in the self, which is what in Sanskrit we call it Swarupa Avasthan. If somebody wants it, then for that, a different and a special kind of habit, culture, and nature needs to be cultivated. One must first understand which are those kind of special qualities and nature, special qualities, habits, and culture and nature, which are those ones. Then second, that person needs to work towards understanding what is the process of developing those qualities. And then, and once they are gained, how does it look like, how will I actually be when I reach there? Where those things a person must need to introspect first. Here in the bhashya of these particular verses, Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji says, is he explains the word tapas in that same meaning, that tapas is something which is a well thought after action. He says is tap is something which is vicharatmak means it's a well thought after. You cannot say that I will do tapas for anything without thinking over it correctly. And he gives an example here, that you won't do Chandrayan, Chandrayan etc kind of what do you call that, sacrificial fire things. We are not talking about those kind of tapas here, because those kind of taps which are like sacrificial fire kind of ceremonies which we do, those kind of tapas people do, that they do agnihotra, chandrayan, etc etc etc, those things are not required for Swarupa Avasthan. If your end objective is actually gaining firm abidance in the self, then your actual work should be that your actual requirement will be meditation and gaining the knowledge of the self. For those things, Chandrayan etc is not required. Whatever goal we set in life, our penance, our tapas should be according to that goal. And in the topic of self control, this is a very very important point. And another point which is we need to think over is that whenever we are practicing self control, we need to first know what is the area where we are practicing, what is the kind of arena we are talking about, or what is the kind of periphery of the self control whole arena which I'm talking about. Which are the aspects where control can be exercised, and how are those aspects, how do they look like? On these points also one must think. And we said in the last session dhyayatah, that in the topic of dhyayatah, on thinking over the object or the thing, we must think first, we must introspect. If we have attached this, that this thinking, while thinking we have attached this fact to an object, thing etc, that this is going to beautify my life, or it is going to give me happiness, then those kind of thinking we have attached to such kind of an object must be broken. And why it needs to be broken? Because if it is not broken, then it will not let us exercise self control in that area, because that thought which we have attached to it, that is going to add beauty to my life, it is going to give me happiness in my life, that will weigh heavily on that thing, which will not let me exercise self control at all. So if this thought that something is going to add beauty to my life or going to give me happiness in my life, if that is broken, by chance that is broken, then thinking of an object is not going to become the reason of me losing self control, right? So this is the first point we need to understand, and that's why I gave you 2 points the last time also. We must always keep this in mind: dukkha doshanu darshanam and pariksha lokan. These two things we should always remember. The second thing is that in case our wisdom and thought does not have that much of power, then the kind of exercising of self control, the effort changes. What is that effort? Then we must move away, or we must actually protect ourselves from getting into this thing of thinking of a particular object. We must actually escape from such things. And if we know that this thing is going to actually create desire in me, if this is something which is getting closer to me, then the first thing is that we must make an effort to actually move away from such things, or we must escape from such things. We must avoid such things, actually, not escape, I would use the word. And if we know that if we are aware of this thing, that this is something which I need to actually work towards, I actually need to know of that object first. That and then we must know this way, that if this is something in that it is going to create obstruction in my life, then it is always better. You don't need to test yourself every time. Don't be a fool to test yourself every time, and let that be done by your guru or anyone. But the first effort should be stay away from such things, avoid such things, always try to remain away from such things. And that if you know it very clear, that uh, this going near this particular thing is going to actually increase my vasana, is going to actually I would say that it's going to incite the vasana which was lying redundant in me, is going to ignite that vasana, then it is always better that we stay away from such things. And staying away should also be by using the correct thought process, as that and should be thought after only, that I know that this is not going to be good for me, it is going to go wrong for me in totality. So it is always better for me to actually move away or remain away from this thing. It is better not to be in contact of such object at all. Moving away from such objects is, I would use the word, moving away from such objects is something which is actually a step taken with usage of intelligence correctly. If we, like, I'm just giving you an example for you to know, if we know that there are certain things which I am allergic towards, for example, then if I know that I'm allergic to something, then the first thing I will do is that I will stay away from such things which I'm allergic to. Remember, I cannot remove them from the creation, but I can make an effort to move away from such things which I'm allergic towards. We will always make an effort to stay away from such things or protect ourselves from such things. Even if such things appear in front of us, we will not touch them if I'm allergic to such things. In the area of spirituality, in the spiritual world, such steps which we take with purpose, with effort, that those things which are going to reignite the vasana which is inside me, and I with effort stay away from them, it is a kind of, it is a form of self control alone. It is a kind of self control only. And for this, a sadhak, a seeker can say that, I'm practicing in giving up. I'm practicing actually dispassion. I'm practicing giving up. Remember, till now, dispassion has not happened. I'm practicing giving up. But those give up which we do after well thought after decisions, they are part of self control alone. They can be coined as self control only. This passion will happen only when that thought which is there in my intellect, that this is going to add beauty to my life or give happiness to me, is broken. This passion will happen only then. Remember, right now I am only staying away from them, but that shobhanadhyas and sukhadhyas is still there. Shobhanadhyas means that is going to add beauty to my life, it's going to give happiness to me. It is still there residing in my intellect, it's not gone, dispensed off completely. By staying away, I am actually practicing that without it also I can remain happy. And many a times when we make that effort, after a point in time we'll realize that I'm more happier without that than actually being near to it. And the benefit which is there by such kind of a give up, the effortful give up, is that slowly, gradually, that vasana starts to become weakened. It starts to weak its hold on me. The hold of that vasana inside me starts to become weak. I would use the word, the strength of that vasana starts to loosen up inside me, in my personality. Slowly, gradually, it starts to loosen up. It starts to lose its effect on me. And when it starts to lose its effect, it will not be able to trigger inside me any kind of an action, to so to say. That is why this kind of an effort is also important. And if we do not let that vasana manifest, remember, I'm using the word, if we do not let any wrong vasana inside me manifest at all, then slowly, gradually, those kind of habits, culture and nature associated with those vasanas will start taking a back foot in my intellectual space. They will start going behind. They will start going in, I would use the word, we'll stop seeing them, so to say. They will go at the bottommost portion of my intellect, bottommost portion of my memory, where the recall becomes difficult. Slowly, gradually, the better things will come over them, and the worst things or the bad things will start to lose its effect completely, and they go very much below in the file system. And I'm giving you an example there for you to understand. I don't know how to explain this, so to say. In the sea, if something drowns, it goes at so much below that, researchers have to go deep down into the sea to actually research it. In the same way, in the intellectual space also, we must understand it's like a sea. There are things, when we don't give them air, we don't give them any kind of an opportunity to manifest, they starts to lie at the rock bottom of our intellectual or a memory space. And when they go to the rock bottom, their chances of being recalled for an action becomes bleak. It's very rare that they will be, they will manifest in our personality, so to say, on any kind of an action which comes in front of them. So if we are able to cultivate new habits, new good habits, and the old one starts to take a back seat or go behind in terms of the entire file system, the way it is stored in the memory, then trust me, those new kind of habits we cultivate will become easily accessible to us. And those ones which were created or cultivated in the past, when they don't get a manifestation, they will become I would not use the word inaccessible, but they will become, so to say, inaccessible, or they will be accessible with great difficulty, so to say. And this is the best part of, habits, culture, and nature, that those which are not required by us can be thrown behind, or can be made to be completely non-visible to us in our personality, and those which are good and are required for me can be made to manifest and can be kept at the top of the file system to be accessible every now and then, even unconsciously also. So, in society there is a mistake which some people do, that, if somebody had been a dussangi, or somebody had been in bad company till now with bad habits and all, and suddenly starts to go to satsang and all, and want to improve, then there is a, joke which society makes about them. What you call, after eating in, 100 rats, this person is going for a Hajj yatra. 100 चूहे खा के बिल्ली चली हज को. But actually, that's not correct. And a seeker who started to walk towards, or walk on the spiritual path and walk towards gaining spirituality in life, should not give attention to such common man statements, because they are not well thought after at all that, it is not correct at all. Remember one thing: every effort which we do to uplift ourselves definitely pays. Doesn't matter what society talks about it. If we are true towards it, and we have a guru who is guiding us to work towards that, we must make an effort to do that, irrespective of if the society stops us, doesn't stop us, doesn't matter at all. You don't need to worry about that. And Bhagwan is giving supreme consciousness. Bhagwan Krishna is again and again in giving this example, a clarion call to all the seekers, that a person who started to work towards self-control is definitely on the right path. And Bhagwan is giving assurance. If you remember or recall the verse number 40 of this chapter itself, Bhagwan said, na, Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even if somebody is able to follow diligently dharma, even a little bit also, trust me, that person is definitely going to gain. Even if this person is able to cultivate little bit dharma in life, remember one thing: this seeker is on the correct path, and one day his spiritual path will become lightened up for this person to walk towards that. And and Bhagwan says is, if we feel ashamed of our mistakes, if we feel repentance for our mistakes, for our weaknesses, please remember, then that means you are turning to be a good person. Some people do mistakes, do wrong things also, and they have no remorse for it. They don't feel repentance for it. That's worse. That's like completely animalistic. If you do mistakes and feel repentance for them, feel bad about them, feel ashamed of them, of your weaknesses also, trust me, that means it is good. You are in good hands. You are walking, you are turning towards the correct thing. And but along with that, when we are able to exercise self control, or and are able to control or win over our vasanas, we must when we think over those moments, remember, there is a new hope which starts to flow within us, that definitely I am on the path. If I can do this, I can achieve much further also, and one day I will definitely be successful in achieving my result. And for that small stint of success also, the seeker must congratulate himself that at least I'm making an effort. Every time when we see our weaknesses, is we should not end up saying as a blanket statement, I don't know when I'm going to improve, but I'm not doing anything towards this. Bhagwan says, Bhagwan is giving an assurance to us in 9th chapter 30th verse, api chet suduracharah bhajate mam ananya bhag sadhureva samantavyah samyak vyavasito hi saha. Bhagwan says the one who has, made his firm decision correctly, has improved his firm resolve in life, that irrespective of how worse this person, how wretched this person have been, but he will improve from today on. Trust me, Bhagwan says, sooner or later, this person will convert himself into a sadhu. Sadhu means he will convert himself into a saint. And remember, this is a big statement of grace by Bhagwan, that remember, nobody had any reason to lose hope in life. So what has transpired behind you till date? So what has happened in your life till date? You still have hope, and Bhagwan is giving you that hope, that I am giving you blessing, that if you work towards it, you can definitely change your life. You can definitely change yourself for good, and irrespective of what result are going to come to you for your past action, you can change the path to achieve good things in life. And if at the level of dhyayatah, you know one can manifest both self control. With self control, one can manifest giving up and dispassion, and can do that. I will sit down and think over it, try to cut my shobhanadhyas and sukhadhyas. As if one is able to destroy the kind of thought that this is going to give happiness to me, trust me, dispassion is sure for this particular person. If this kind of thought that it is going to provide me happiness, we are not able to break, still we must make an effort to maintain distance from that object. And by maintaining distance, we can simultaneously work towards cultivating auspicious culture, auspicious habit, and auspicious behavior in us. Okay, then when we think like that, we need to remember, we will stop talking about the inauspicious behavior. One should stop talking about inauspicious behavior, or and try to maintain distance from it. When one and starts to work towards that, trust me, improvement is surely going to happen. Okay, but if one only talks about the inauspicious behavior, and does not work towards maintaining distance from those inauspicious things, then, and remember, you cannot expect that auspicious things will start manifesting in you just because you know that that is inauspicious and it doesn't work towards it. Then you have to add on one more thing along with knowing about the inauspicious things. And while maintaining, don't stop at only knowing about the inauspicious thing and maintaining distance from them. Also work towards associating yourself from the auspicious things also. Okay, remember, this antakaran is made of subtlest aspects of this entire five elements. From the sattvic aspects of these five elements, that's why the dirt or inauspicious things are not its inherent nature. By nature, actually, because antakaran is made of the subtlest sattvic aspects of these five elements, by nature, actually, antakarana is supposed to be pure. The impurity is something which has come from somewhere, whereas the purity is natural to the antakarana. Which means what? Which is what I've been saying till now in the previous, when I was explaining you this also, that remember, all the kind of impurity we have gathered and collected in our antakarana. Antakarana, by its nature, in natural sense, it is supposed to be pure. That's why purity does not need to be brought from outside. The only thing we need to do is impurity needs to be removed from the intellect. The moment we remove the impurity from the intellect, which will be done by how? By going to satsang, by doing bhajan, by singing the glory of Lord, by meditation, When we use the soap of these things, slowly, gradually, the dirt which has gathered on our antakarana will slowly, gradually start to get dispensed off or removed. And the moment it is dispensed off, the purity of intellect will shine through within that person. The person must work towards developing good auspicious behavior, rather than being sad all the time that, I am so bad, I don't know why I think like that. Keep on cribbing and crying about it and doing nothing about it is not going to lead you anywhere. It is better that stand up and take the onus of it and work towards it. Success is surely going to come to you in the spiritual arena. So, to summarize, the first level of exercising of self control is required at the level of dhyayataha. The second point of exercising self control is at the level of sangha, association. When we start to generate interest in that thing, I told you the actual meaning of sangha is generating interest in that particular thing. At that level, we can decide not to cooperate with our antakarna, with our mind and senses. That's the second level of exercising self control. The third field of self control, which we can see from this verse, is at the level of desire. At the level of desire also we can and work towards exercising self control. In case the desire has already arisen in us, then we must use the medicine of singing the glory of Lord, bhajan, etc. That starts to, this medicine of singing the glory of Lord, or start, prayers and all, definitely proves helpful in case the desire has already arisen in us. We can also do this thing that we can and offer, or the desire which has arisen in us, we can offer it at the altar of the supreme consciousness, the self, or God, that this is my desire and it is a very strong desire, but I'm not sure if it is your desire also. I can offer it this way. I'm not sure if it is your desire also, or not. If you really want me to do it or not. When we start to, put these things in front of God, when we start to offer these things and we start to talk to God and keep these things in thoughts in front of God, remember, then we have worked towards the first step of offering our desire to God. You've started that point of offering that our desire to God, or then, and it is not important, and it is not important that, the desire of mine which is there in me, my desire should be his desire also from me. Let him decide if this desire is good for me also or not. And if you have done offering this desire of your desire at the altar of God, then you must know one more thing, that, when you offer your desire at the altar of God, let God decide what is good for you or not. Then whatever result come, take it as that, God did not want me. If you do not succeed in that, and if it comes to you, say that, God blessed me to do that, maybe he wants something from me. And in that context, I want to bring out one story which I told in the last session, that I'll bring it out for you. And I'll try to be brief enough because some of you may be aware of the story. This story comes in Ramayana, especially Ramcharitmanas, where Bhagwan Shiva is talking to Mother Parvati. Mother Parvati asked Bhagwan Shiva that, I want to know who Bhagwan Ram is. And I told you that one of the biggest devotees of Bhagwan Ram is actually Bhagwan Shiva. And the entire Ramcharitmanas is where Goswami Tulsidas ji also says, is, it is not written by me. It is what was there in the mind of Bhagwan Shiva, in the intellect of Bhagwan Shiva, and he only gave it to, passed it on to my mind for me to write it down. So actually Ramcharitmanas, the creator, is actually Bhagwan Shiva only. So Mother Parvati went to Bhagwan Shiva and asked, who is Lord Rama? I'm not telling the whole thing. People can read Ramcharitmanas and know about that story. but to bring to the exact core. And this is also a kind of definition of krodat bhavati sammoha, sammoha smriti vibhramaha, smriti bhramshat buddhi nashah, buddhi nashat pranashyati. Also what Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji in his bhashya said, क्रुद्धो ही सम्मूढ़ सन गुरुम अपि आक्रोशति. I'm explaining you that as part of the story. So before I get into the story, please understand, don't misunderstand the characters of our Purana at all. Okay, it's all a leela, but it is to give us strong message to all of us. So what happened while asking about Bhagwan and Ram, when Mother Parvati asked, in one of his detailed explanation, he spoke long about it. He said, spoke about the reasons of Bhagwan's avatar. And he said to Mother Parvati, Bhagwan Shiva said to Mother Parvati that, one of the reason of Bhagwan Ram's incarnation was your Guru Naradji. So Mother Parvati got really shocked. Naradji is a great bhakta of Bhagwan. How can he become the cause of Bhagwan incarnating into the land? So that is what I wanted to explain. Once what happened, as the story goes, I'll explain you. Naradji's nature was that he used to keep roaming around. That was also part of a curse given by one of the Prajapatis. Okay, that you will not be able to stay one place for a long period of time, because wherever Naradji used to go, he used to put them into bhajan and all. Then they used to lose interest in actually life, so to say. So Naradji was given a curse that you will not be able to stay at one place; you'll keep roaming around. So once Naradji was doing was traveling through the earth, through the air, he found a place which was near the banks of Mother Ganges, a very beautiful, calm and quiet place. Naradji felt, I haven't seen this place, let me sit here and see. Naradji sat there and he went into samadhi. Samadhi means he went into deep meditation. One day passed, Naradji didn't get up. So in the Devlok, Indra got worried what Naradji wants to do. Is part of us only. He's a Dev Rishi. He's part of us. I do not know what he wants to achieve through the meditation. So he sent Kam Devta and all to disrupt Naradji's meditation. But Naradji's meditation could not be broken. So he went on, he continued with meditation for 1 day, 2 day, 3 day. For some days it went. Kamdev got tired and all. Also, he stopped all those things. But when Kamdev got tired and started sitting down on with that entire jingbang of, what do you call that, Gandharva and all, everyone was there, Apsaras and everything. He was trying to disturb Naradji. But when Naradji woke up, now Kamdev got worried that Naradji may curse us, for trying to disturb. But what happened? Naradji did not get angry. Naradji said, Kamdev, you have been created in this creation for a purpose. So that's your role. I am not angry at you at all. So Kamdevji got surprised. Anyway, Kamdevji went back and told Indra that, Naradji got up. I could not disturb Naradji. I was unsuccessful in my effort. But what happened? Naradji got up also, but very strange that he did not get angry also on me. So Naradji thought, this is where, sometimes things happen. Naradji thought, this is very strange. Kamdevji tried to disturb me. I did not get disturbed. That is at least definitely one pinnacle. But I did not get angry also. Naradji started having this thought that, I could do this. This is where the problem happens. Okay. I'm trying to tell you because it's a story. Okay. Don't consider Naradji incorrect. I'm again and again telling you that Amba and Bhishma Pitama's story also tell you, try to get the message from that. Our Puranas are explaining things in a different way. They explain it in a, our history, our Itihas and Purana explain things in a way for us to understand. So Naradji went to Shivlok, to Bhagwan Shiva. Because what happened, that, Bhagwan Shiva also, Kamdevji tried to disturb him one time. But Bhagwan Shiva opened his third eye and Kamdevji got destroyed. He got burned down. So Naradji thought, Bhagwan Shiva also, Kamdev could not do anything. But Bhagwan Shiva to at least got angry. I too did not get angry also. So I must tell this story. There is a word which we say, if a peacock danced in the forest, no one saw, right? So what speciality it has got? Jungle mein mor nacha kisne dekha? So Naradji thought, I have won over Kama and Krodh both. So I must need to narrate this story to people. People must know about it because I sat on the banks of Ganges, nobody saw it. So he went to Bhagwan Shiva first and he narrated the entire thing in beautifully, that this happened, that happened. I did not get angry also. And through the side eye, Naradji looked at Bhagwan Shiva's reaction, that what Bhagwan Shiva is saying. So Bhagwan Shiva said, Naradji, very good. You could do it. I'm proud of you that you could do it. But I need to give you one particular advice. He said, what? The elaboration and beautification of this story you did in front of me, I request you and advise you not to do the same thing in front of Bhagwan Vishnu. Because Bhagwan Vishnu is very careful and protective about his devotees. You will never know how he will act. I'm telling you, you will have to face the music then. So I would request you that. But you see, Naraji has already thought, because of that ego came that I could do it, he looked at Bhagwan Shiva and said, good that he appreciated, but I think he's a little jealous of me, because he could not, control his anger at that time and he burned down and I could do it. So probably that's why, he doesn't want me to say it to Bhagwan Vishnu. And see how in sometimes thought process works very completely weirdly also. Anyway, he went to Brahmaji. Naraji is Brahmaji's son. So he went to Brahmaji and explained with the entire, elaborately explained to the entire Sabha over there, I did this, that and all. Brahmaji said, okay, very good, Narad, you could control it and all. But Naraji did not stop there. He went to Bhagwan Vishnu. Now this is what happened. And in the same beautiful, elaborate manner, he explained the entire story, narrated it to Bhagwan Vishnu. Now Bhagwan Vishnu, Naraji is a bhakta of Bhagwan Vishnu. Bhagwan Vishnu said, Bhagwan Vishnuji thought, Bhagwan Narayan thought, man, what happened to my bhakta? Very good that he could control desire, calm. Very good that he could control anger. But the mother of these two, which is ego, has consumed him over. Because actually ego is the mother of, or the birth giver of all these kind of thought modifications of kama, krodha and all those things. Bhagwan said, poor man, he could not do it. So Bhagwan said, I need to protect my devotee. I need to tell him that what he did is not right. So I will definitely teach him or correct him in that way. So Naradji elaborated this entire story, and the moment he stepped out of Vaikuntha Loka and he was traveling down after getting satisfaction, he looked at Bhagwan Vishnu from a side. Oh, I think Bhagwan Vishnu must have also thought that I've got a great devotee. Anyway, so Bhagwan and Naradji was coming down. Suddenly, what happened? He saw a very beautiful, what you call that, piece of land. Very beautiful piece of land. There was a very beautiful kingdom there. Naradji thought, which is this kingdom? I have not seen this before. Where this is? How come I did not see this kingdom at all? So maybe it is a new thing. Let me go and see what is there. So Naradji went and landed into a very beautiful rose garden over there. And it was a very beautiful garden. And in that garden, the daughter of the king of that kingdom was actually with her own kind of helpers. She was roaming around in that garden, and that girl was very, very beautiful, extremely beautiful. Naraji got wow struck, and who is this beautiful girl I have not seen? She saw Naraji. She came to Naraji and prostrated to Naraji. By that time, her father came. Her father gave the hand to Naraji and said, Naraji, you are an astrologer also. Why don't you see her hands and see what is her future? Naraji saw in her hand, because Naraji knew astrology, so he saw in her hand through her the lines in her hands, the palm lines. He saw that whosoever this girl is going to marry, that man is going to be actually Ajar and Amar, means that he will never die. And not only that, will be Trilokpati, is going to rule over all the worlds in this cosmos. Man, and Naraji got wow struck, and he kept on holding the hand and looking at that girl. Just remember, he forgot what he said before. Huh? Now he said, if that is the case, I think I need to marry this girl. So never mind. So her father said, I'm keeping a Swayamvar, Naraji. Do bless this girl that she gets a good husband. Naraji immediately ran back to Vaikuntha Loka from where he came few minutes before, or elaborating upon the success of self-control. He just came down. He went to Bhagwan and said, Bhagwan, I have a small request to you. He said, Bhagwan asked Naraji, what happened, Naraji? He said, I have a small request to you. I have suddenly got a situation in my life where I also want to settle down. So Bhagwan said, man, he just now spoke about Kam, Vijay and all those things and narrated and elaborated upon the story. What happened to him? He said, what happened, Narad? He said, Naraji said, see Bhagwan, I'm also thinking it's been high time I've been roaming around here and there. So I found a situation, I found a girl, I want to marry her. So Bhagwanji said, Bhagwan Vishnu said, what do you want from me? Bhagwan, can you please rent me your or form, the Vishnu form, for a few hours, so that I can, win over the Swayamvar, and once I marry, you can take it back, because once in those days there were no divorce laws. So once you are married, you are married. So Naraji knew that once the marriage is happened, I can give the form back to Bhagwan Vishnu, and then I can go back. Then there is no law of divorce, so she will not separate from me, and I will also become what Ajar and Amar, and will become like rule over the entire all the worlds in this creation. So but what happened, you see, Naraji was a bhakta of Bhagwan. This is where one of the statement which I must say to you is that it's a big relief when Bhagwan says name bhakta pranashyati. Bhagwan says that very clearly, in the 9th chapter 30, first verse, was that name bhakta pranashyati. Bhagwan says is, bhakta can go through all the entire ladders of fall, but here it is said buddhi nashat pranashyati. But that buddhi nashat pranashyati will not happen. That you must see from this story itself. Naraji was a great bhakta of Bhagwan, no doubts, no second thoughts about it. He always used to do Narayan Narayan. You know that very well. So Bhagwan said, the one who used to do Narayan Narayan is now singing the glory of that girl. What happened to him? So Bhagwan said, at the end of the statement, when Naraji said this, Naraji said at the end, Bhagwan, do that which is supremely good for me. Bhagwan Vishnuji caught that statement. Bhagwan said, Narad, remember, I'm only going to do that which is going to be supremely good for you. But Naradji was very sure that Bhagwan is going to give his form for, or few hours. It doesn't matter to Bhagwan. And so what happened anyway? Naradji came with complete confidence that I have got the form of Bhagwan Vishnu and I'm looking most beautiful in this creation. He went and sat in that line where the Swayamvar was going to happen. Now, see how Bhagwan also worked. Okay, the girl saw Naraji sitting, she completely avoided that row. Naraji thought that maybe that she has not seen me. Naraji went and sat in a different row. The girl saw what a kind of a courage this man has got, that he's coming and sitting in the row. She avoided that row also. What happened is actually this entire this kingdom, this princess and everyone was creation of Bhagwan Vishnu's Yoga Maya. He only created it. Okay, so what he did to Naraji was he gave Naraji the face of a monkey. Okay, now Naraji did not see it in the mirror. Also, he was very, what we call that, overconfident that Bhagwan has already blessed me, that he'll give me the form of a Vishnu. But the blessing which Bhagwan did is that, except that girl and two of the nakshatras, as two of the demons there, where nobody could see Naraji in that monkey form. Okay, so that is the blessing which Bhagwan gave Naraji. Then what happened? This Swayamvar went on like that. Suddenly Bhagwan Vishnu came, married this princess and went away. Now see, Naraji's desire did not get fulfilled. He became very upset. And now this I'm telling you, Kruddu is sammudasan gurum api akroshati. This is the line I'm wanting to explain you from here. Naradji saw Bhagwan Vishnu coming and marrying this princess and going. he got furious over Bhagwan Vishnu. Remember, he is a bhakta of Bhagwan Vishnu. He got furious over Bhagwan Vishnu. He ran to Vaikunt with a thought that I don't know what is wrong with Bhagwan Vishnu. He wants every good thing with him. He doesn't want anyone else to get good things at all. In the churning of milky ocean, pearls and Lakshmi ji and all he kept, poison he gave to Lord Shiva. He already has Lakshmi ji with him. Why he need another princess? Can't he let me marry him? He got really furious. He went, and in the thought, what happened? He thought that, you know, uh, he he thought in his mind that Dehu Shap ki mari ho jai. Imagine, he's the bhakta of Bhagwan, and he's thinking in his mind, should I give curse to Bhagwan or should I kill him myself? Can you imagine the kind of krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibramaha, smriti bhramshat buddhi nasha. But Bhagwan's grace is that buddhi nashat pranashyati didn't happen, which Bhagwan said in the 9th chapter, Name Bhakta Pranashyati. That's a guarantee which Bhagwan is giving, that if you are my Bhakta, trust me, I will not let you get destroyed. That is what the power of bhakti is all about. That, Naradji went and became so upset with Bhagwan, and he thought all these things. The moment Naradji reached Vaikunt, Bhagwan Vishnu removed his Yog Maya. There was no kingdom, there was no princess, it was only his Yog Maya. But Naradji felt so ashamed. Bhagwan said, you are my Bhakta, I will honor your curse also. For that reason, in one of the kalpas, because Naradji said, you made me monkey, and you made me be distanced from my sweetheart. How did she become your sweetheart? She is not even married you yet. He said, you made me separate from my my so-called wife. I curse you that you will also face separation once, and you will have to seek the help of monkeys to get her back. See, remember one thing, please mark my word. Bhagwan does his Leela. All this is Leela. Naradji also understood that. After that, Naradji, in that avatar, when Bhagwan took avatar as Bhagwan Ram and Sita ji got taken away by a Ravan, Bhagwan, Devrishi Naradji also came down and sat there and repented in front of Bhagwan that, what I did, what foolishness I did. I used to think that I'm a great bhakta, and remember, I only cursed my own Bhagwan. So that is what happens. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. The moment kamana gets obstructed by someone, that factor which becomes the obstructing factor of that desire, it is bound that the stronger the desire, the stronger will be the quantum of anger towards that obstructing factor. And also depends on the power of that person also. And the moment anger takes over the antakarana, sammoha, delusion starts, ignorance starts to, or delusion starts to cloud over all that has been gained as knowledge and wisdom. Sammohat smriti vibramaha. The moment and this happens, our memory becomes unavailable for us to make decision. Smriti Bhramshat Buddhi Nashaha. Without the availability of memory, intellect cannot function. That is what is meant by Smriti Bhramshat Buddhi Nashaha. And in a normal man, a common man, a man who has not yet gotten into the bhakti, trust me, what happens? Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati. All the kind of severe acts you see in this creation, you read newspapers, somebody killed someone, cut into pieces, they have no remorse. You can all take it back to this point. Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati. They forget that this life is not the ultimate. Your antakarna, your internal equipment, will have to face the punishment of such acts in not only one life, many lives, so to say. You do something, you are creating two things altogether, vasana and karma phala. And trust me, nobody can escape that. But if you turn towards bhakti, that's why I keep telling in the WhatsApp group which I've created, always work towards developing and growing in love and devotion for God. That is definitely something which is going to help you. For a bhakta, all the steps can happen, but buddhi nashat pranashyati will not happen, because Bhagwan has given a guarantee in the 9th chapter, Name Bhakta Pranashyati. If you are a bhakta, pranashyati won't happen. You will not destroy yourself completely. That point one need to remember. You saw how this Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha Smriti Vibrama happened. First, Naraji, he was overtaken by the delusion, which is Sammoha, and then he forgot. He completely lost sense and track of what he is talking and what is to be spoken and what is not to be spoken. Then he forgot who is he talking to, who is in front of him, what is his relation to that person who is talking to. Nothing he remembered. So Smriti Vibrama, Buddhi Nasha happened, that his intellect got destroyed, but Pranashyati never happened because he kept his desire in front of Paramatma, which is what I was explaining you before I took up this story. If you keep your desire in front of Paramatma with the attitude of bhakti, let Bhagwan take care and ask Bhagwan, whatever is good for me, please bless me with that. That is what is called the self control of bhakti. We should take refuge in the faith we have developed towards God, and we should continually work towards that faith and strengthening that faith. That, never that faith should have any kind of lacking, that we must have that faith, we must cultivate this strong faith, come whatever may. Supreme consciousness Bhagwan Krishna will protect me and will bless me with what is good for me. There is no other principle which is over this. Even these Puranic stories also, history stories also, you enjoy them when you know Vedant. Actually, Vedanta is the grammar of actually knowing this creation and everything what is hidden in this creation. Vedanta is the grammar for knowing even Ramayana, Mahabharata, Srimad Bhagavad Ji. All these scriptures you can know only when you know the grammar of Vedanta. When you know the grammar, you can enjoy literature, and the kind of bliss that literature gives you, it increases manifolds. But the only thing is, people who know this grammar are very less, and without grammar you cannot enjoy literature. Even the enjoyment of a literature is incomplete if you don't know the grammar. These verses you can enjoy, you can tie it back to Ramcharit Manas. Why? Because you know Vedanta a little bit, then you can enjoy this thing. So remember, the downfall, the principle of downfall is also not about what Bhagwan says. One principle which Bhagwan has given, which he proudly announces, is that one side you need to know buddhi nashat pranashyati, which is true for a common man. Bhagwan himself says, and in the 9th chapter, Bhagwan is going to bring up Name Bhakta Pranashyati also. One can be whatever kind of a person that person is, doesn't matter. But once you take refuge in the lotus feet of Supreme Consciousness, Bhagwan Krishna, trust me, the blessing over you is sure. Your upliftment is guaranteed. It Bhagwan, that is what Bhagwan guarantees there. Goswami Tulsidas ji also writes there, in Ramcharitmanas itself, सीम की चापी सकई कोई तासु बड़ रखवार रमापति जासु. Nobody can bypass this principle which is there, that one who is under the protection of Bhagwan, on whom Bhagwan is with someone, trust me, destruction of that person is impossible. There is another proverb which is very popular in the creation. Jaakho rakhe saiya, maar sake na koi. the one who is under the grace and blessings of Bhagwan, trust me, nobody can destroy. Mar sake means nobody can kill, means destroy that person. This kind of a faith of a seeker should not be broken at all. To develop that faith, a seeker must work towards it, must do sadhana towards it. Always don't rely on your own self effort all the time. Many a time, trust me, grace is far above self effort. I told you one bhajan which is there, करते हो तुम कन्हैया मेरा नाम हो रहा है. Each and every line is of a bhakta. He says, Bhagwan, I am doing nothing, I am capable of doing nothing actually. You are the one who is doing everything, and trust me, see your or compassion towards me, that you are only doing everything, and you are giving name and fame to me, benefits to me, even though you are the one who are doing everything. If you can really understand the deeper meaning of these things, you will understand that actually God is an ocean of compassion. He is a kripa sindhu. I don't think anybody can be even near what God is. Irrespective of what you have done, it doesn't matter to him. Bhagwan says, come to me. I'll surely bless you. I'll surely make you achieve the highest which seem impossible to you today. But trust me, you have to make the effort of coming to me. Even though I'm seated in you, I'm available to you all the time, but I won't force you at all. See the kind of freedom Bhagwan has given. At the moving on, Bhagwan says, is at the level of anger also, some kind of a control is possible. And that is possible. Another aspect I'm telling you, at the level of anger also, some people can and can exercise control, provided they have past effort, what do you call that, past effort of actually having a streamlined behavior. A good behavior, if someone has cultivated, if someone has worked towards, someone has made effort towards cultivating good behavior, good culture, has cultivated good culture, trust me, that good culture, that practice of good culture is definitely going to, what you call that, stop you from manifesting your anger. See, that is also one aspect you must know. If someone has cultivated good culture within them, like respecting the elders, as having continuous behavior of having respect in thought also, not only in action, but thought and verb, through words also, if someone has cultivated that kind of a practice, trust me, that practice will stop you from manifesting the anger. When sham breaks, that sixfold qualification that we're talking about, shama dama uparama, when sham breaks, then at that time dama comes to actually for our help. And remember, dama is mano nigraha. Dama is not something which is temporary. Dama is something which comes to us, or the mano nigraha, or the control over mind, comes to us when we have a controlled cultural behavior, and when we practice cultured behavior for a long period of time. That's why every day, every moment, and we must make an effort to make, to actually improve from being cultured to become more cultured, and we must practice it, so that when weird kind of situations come in our life, or when untoward situation come in our life, that practice keeps us within the bay, within the boundaries of behavior. It keeps us, you know when we actually when we actually, what do you call that, we have not cultivated good culture in us, at that time no situation and can protect us from becoming worse. So at the level of anger also, self control is possible, provided the person has worked towards creating cultured or well mannered, becoming well mannered, somebody has practiced to become well mannered or well cultured within himself. When we exercise control over our words for a long period of time, control over our words, how we speak and what we speak, then trust me, how much amount of anger may have come, the seeker will always be within the limits of his own. You will always be having a controlled kind of speech, even in the anger also doesn't derail the speech of that person. So, at the level of anger, Dhamma, the practice of Dhamma, or the past practice of Dhamma, is a very beautiful solution if you want to control yourself at the level of anger. Once, once you have controlled yourself at the level of anger, then the further steps of sammoha, smriti bhramsha and buddhi nasha cannot happen. But for that, oh, after the krodha, after the control at the level of anger, there is no level where you can control yourself. So I've given you all the aspects where you can control. The moment sammoha happens, at that time, whatever control the intellect could do, that is not available, and anger overpowers everything, and nobody can stop the further steps of smriti bhramsha and buddhi nasha, the unavailability of blocking of memory, smriti bhramsha and buddhi nasha, and destruction of intellect. Nobody can stop. After this, there is only one point available, which is sharanagati. If somebody has got deep sharanagati, and for that you have to have a past practice of bhajan, etc., and in your mind and in your intellect there should be an attitude of surrender towards someone, then, and you must see the next phase, which is the 9th chapter, where Bhagavan said name bhakta pranashyati will happen. These are the different aspects of self control explained in this particular verse. Whereas the basic concept or the core fundamental you should remember is that none of our habits, culture and nature is something which is natural. Everything is earned and cultivated by us. That's why we can give up those which are obstructing towards my development, and we can cultivate those or adapt those which are actually required for me. And now we will move on to the further verse. Before that, I'll quickly read Pujya Gurudev's remaining part of the commentary on this. Gurudev's way of explaining there. Like a tree which emerges from a seed, the source of all evil starts from our own wrong thinking or due to false imaginations. Thought is creative, it can make us or mar us. If rightly harnessed, it can be used for constructive purposes. If misused, it can totally destroy us. When we constantly think about a sense object, the consistency of that thought creates within us an attachment for the object of our thought. When more and more thoughts flow towards that object of attachment, they crystallize to form a burning desire for the possession and enjoyment of the object of attachment. The same force of the motion, when directed towards the obstacles that threaten the non fulfillment of our desires, is called anger, krodha. An intellect fumed with anger comes to experience delusion, and the deluded intellect has no power of discrimination because it loses all of the memories of the past. Anyone who is filled with anger is capable of doing acts while totally forgetting himself and his relationship with all others. Sri Shankaracharya ji says in this connection that a deluded fool who is in his mental condition might even fight with his own teachers or parents while forgetting his indebtedness to these revered persons. Thus, when an individual through wrong channels of thinking becomes attached to an object, the attachment matures into a burning desire to possess that object. When an obstruction to possess that object of desire shoots him up into fit of anger, The mental disturbance caused by this emotion dilutes the intellect and makes the individual forget his sense of proportion and his sense of relationship with things and beings around him. When thus a deluded intellect forgets its dignity of culture, it loses its discriminative capacity, which is called in common parlance conscience, buddhi. Conscience is that knowledge to be enjoyed for differentiating the good from the evil, which often forms a standard within us. And whenever it can, warns the mind against its lustful sensuousness and animalism. Once this conscience is dulled, the man becomes a two legged animal with no sense of proportion and no ears for any subtler call within him than the howling urgent hungers of the flesh. Thereby, he is guaranteeing for himself a complete destruction in as much as a bosom cannot come to perceive or strive for the higher, the nobler, and the diviner. The contemplation of sense objects has been described as the source of all evils. Now, means of deliverance, moksha, is described as follows. Bhagwan moves into the next verse. The next verse I will read today, but we will see the detailed meaning in the next session, so to say. Bhagwan says in the 64th verse, Ragadvesha viyuktaistu vishayanindriyaischaran atmavasyairvidheyatma prasadamadighachati. Now see, when Bhagwan is talking about the ladder of fall, Bhagwan is also giving you the way out. Very beautiful verse, so to say. Philosophy becomes a philosophy only when it talks to our practical real life. Philosophy has no meaning if it gives us vague kind of ideas which cannot be implemented in life. As I told you when I started this session today, that Bhagavad Gita is a manual of life for the entire human mankind. So, Bhagwan Krishna, Supreme Consciousness Bhagwan Krishna, in Bhagavad Gita has spoken nothing which is not adaptable in life. All that Bhagwan has spoken is something which can be adapted in our life, provided we want to channelize our energy and efforts in the right direction. The next verse, which is the 64th verse and 65th verse, which I'm going to speak and discuss about in the next session, is also Bhagwan giving a direction towards that particular goal. And remember one thing, making it extremely practical. Sometimes people have this wrong notion that spirituality is for only the educated people and only for those who have great intellects and all. No, spirituality is for everyone. You need to figure out where you stand and from where you need to start. Starting point can be different, but the end goal is the same. Starting point, depending upon where one is, can be different, but where it wants you all to reach, the end destination is the same. Yes, you put your effort. Don't worry about where it's, what is the end goal and all. It will surely make you achieve the highest in this creation, which is self-realization. So self-realization is definitely possible. Through this verse, Bhagwan is saying that, I don't want to tell you, or I'm not telling you that for gaining spirituality, you have to leave everything and go into, caves and all and sit in, sit alone in, I would not use the word loneliness, so to say, sit alone completely away from all. No, I'm not telling you. I am giving you a way out, sitting in this world to reach that level. Take it and make it possible to grow on the vertical path. That is the best usage you can do of your human life. We will see all this in the next session. And कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि श्रीमन्नारायणायेति समर्पयामि ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ओम शांति 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 ही। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। ओम तत्सत।